ladies and gentlemen, allow me to bring you the Death Knight Legion Alpha. Very early, like 6 months early. This one is indeed a very general look. And in fact, this will be one of the most different looks we're doing. The recent iteration of the Legion Alpha that was deployed on the servers actually broke Death Knights, Unholy and Frost specifically. So I can't bring you much, if anything, of either of them because they're not working even close as to what they're supposed to do. We lost Runic Empowerment and Runic Corruption. You can see I can't spend my last talent. They gave a Soul Reaper by default, which is not working correctly. Sludge Belcher was brought in, but is not yet implemented. All kinds of things throughout this just simply are not working. A bit disappointing, as I know the Legion Alpha is going to be deactivated shortly and probably will not return until January. And you guys probably want some information on the DK, especially as the only class in Legion Alpha that actually had all three of its specs. Whether that was a mistake or not, I don't know. It may have just been a case that they had all three of their opening artifact scenarios available and wanted them testing rather than the class. But it's safe to say that giving you any sort of reasonable feedback right now would be a waste of time, particularly in Frost. So what I'll do is be super general for those of you who want some information. Frost, excuse me, Frost is playing exactly as it should be, really. They've done very, very little to change it. Very little at all. It plays almost very sterile in a way, but very much a Cataclysm level of play, which a lot of Frost guys like. There were some changes, like instead of Death and Decay, you get Remorseless Winter, which is more like a Starfall than anything else. As you can see, as you move near targets, it starts doing damage to them. So that was a nice, interesting change. I thought it was very cool. It was nice to see that. Doesn't seem as big as Starfall by any means, but generally quite cool. Glacial Advance was a new ability that was brought into the game. And there's Sweeping Strikes that attack cones and all this kind of stuff. But generally speaking, it's not much different at all from what is intended to be played, even in Warlords of Draenor. Of course, there's lots of ways of playing Frost, a lot of different aspects that people look for with Frost. They're trying to eliminate that. They don't want to see things like Master Frost and Haste Frost and all these kind of things. They don't want that to happen. They want a very set-in-stone style of play for Frost, which is the intentional style of play. So if you know how Frost should be played, not how you do play it because it does more damage, how it should be played and how it's intended to be played, that's pretty much how it plays right now. Okay? So that's Frost in a nutshell. With Unholy, there has been a big shift over the playstyle to not being disease based at all. There still is a disease. It's called virulent disease, and you get this via Outbreak, which has no a 6-second cooldown, costs 1 rune, and it works very much like Necrotic Plague. Instead of stacking though, it just jumps around and it does damage to anything nearby. It'll just automatically start spreading around. I don't know if it'll reach that. Maybe it's a little too far away. It's not quite necrotic in that style. You don't have blood boil, I should say, to spread it anymore. So it's an interesting idea. Interesting idea that you'll get this and it'll just kind of do its own thing. Now, what they've introduced is the idea of this Festering Strike, which now infects them with pustulant wounds. It's a very gross spec, honestly. It's really disgusting when you think about it. But it's generally, it creates these festering pulsing wounds, and they stack up. You get like various stacks of them, and then you kind of pop them. So think of them as zits. Like Festering Strike gives zits, and then you pop them with Scourge Strike. And that's what the rotation is. Keep the disease on, infect the target, and then see how many of these pustulant wounds, these yellow gooey wounds we generate. You see I got 2 there, and then pop them with Scourge Strike. And that pops them and makes them do their various thing. So that is the style of play. That is the general direction they're going with it in nearly all ways. There is some comments on this. I would love for these to spread, because they could generate quite a few, right? They could go 1 to 3, and that makes target switching a little bit annoying. I would like to be able to like spread these wounds in some way. I've noticed even just while doing very brief leveling, despite the fact the spec isn't working, I tried to make it work, and there is a build that you can kind of cheese and get away with to make it work. That yeah, target switching is a real pain in the ass because you're having to like Festering Strike more than reasonable, but it's not going to be a big problem in raids and no doubt in challenge worlds where things have more health. Dark Transformation still exists. You can even get this so he's permanent. Yeah, and we'll look at that in a sec. Gargoyle is still there as a big cooldown. Generally speaking, most of the Unholy stuff feels the same, but slightly different. So Soul Reaper isn't like an Execute now. Soul Reaper is a 20-second cooldown that pops Festering Wounds. Now, I said it doesn't work. The way this is supposed to work on the tooltip is it strikes an enemy for some physical damage, and after 5 seconds, it will pop 3 Festering Wounds. That's not what it's doing right now. What it's actually doing right now is detonating them instantly. So see, I've got 5 on there. Give it a Soul Reaper. You fucked me, haven't you, on my talents? Come on, game. You're in combat. Ugh. Come over here. Come on. Come on. Come on, game. Be a friend. Be a friend. I haven't even got much to show. Don't stall me like this. I'm not even sure if this is going to work, because you can't actually spec. I'm not joking. You can't actually spec. It'll just keep denying me. I'll let you click it and then not actually spec into it. There we go. Oh, it's letting me do it now. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Not yet implemented, though. Oh, all day it's been just telling me it won't even show up and show me one talent point and just gave me Soul Reaper. Like, you will take Soul Reaper. We gave it you back, so you will play it. So, yeah, you get, the wounds on. You pop a Soul Reaper, and you can see it just instantly consumes them. That's not how it's supposed to work. It's not working too differently to how it's supposed to work. It just does it instantaneously and consumes them all. But it doesn't seem to be doing much of anything. So, there you go. You see, that one popped 4 for some reason. It's supposed to pop up to 3. It's all in the air, exactly. So you get the point. This thing is really broken. Really, really broken. But that's the general playstyle, is keeping your disease on, your virulent plague for your outbreak, and then just creating these pussy wounds and then popping them with Scourge Strike. So let's have a little brief look at the talent tree, because we can get a general idea of the direction we're going. Although this spec isn't working, we can kind of figure out how it's supposed to work. So with All Will Serve, your Raised Dead summons an additional skeleton. Okay, nice and easy. Bursting Swords, when a Festering Wound bursts, it does a little bit of AoE splash damage. Not bad. Ebon Fever, I've much preferred this when AoEing, is your Virulent Plague will deal its damage 50% more frequently. I found that far handier, really far handier. Infected Claws, your Ghoul's Claw attack has a 50% chance to cause Festering Wounds. Nice, so it's more wounds, more things to pop. Obviously, the idea is that Festering Strike costs 2 runes, and Scourge Strike costs 1. So the more wounds you generate, either with Festering Strike or through other means you do more Scourge Strikes for more runes. So it's nice and easy. So Festering Strike now applies 1 to 5 Festering Wounds is what I went with for leveling, because it's really quite nice, because you can get the 5 stack and then you can just sort of tunnel into it with Scourge Strike. Blessed Rune Weapon means your auto attacks will generate Festering Wounds. Unholy Frenzy is not a cooldown. Sad times, man. I miss it. When a Festering Wound bursts, your Ghoul gains 50% increased attack speed. Fine. I would like to see some haste towards me, please. That would be nice. Castigator, your Scourge Strike critical strikes cause an additional Festering Wound, so you get to chain them more. You get the idea of the style of play, right? You get the idea, guys. You're just trying to get as many wounds as possible without having to spend resources to get them, and then popping them is your main goal. Is start diseases on and pop as many as possible. Chloric Shadows deal 1 rune deals shadow damage to the target and trigger a single stack of Festering Wounds if it is present on the target. Replaces Scourge Strike. Yeah, nice swap around ability. Sludge Belcher, so your Raised Dead now summons an Abomination instead of a Ghoul with, is a better pet. Gore Seeker, bursting a Festering Wound generates 9 additional runic power. So this works really well in a world where our runes don't regenerate. Essentially, they do regenerate as base, but we get no bonus to them, which really screws the spec up. So with this, I was able to sort of cheese it, because I was getting a lot of runes. I only got 1 there, sad times, but the amount of runic power I get, it's like runes didn't need to exist. And you'll see that now. Look how much I generate. So much. It's absolutely ridiculous. You generate so much runic power that runes almost don't mean anything. But ultimately, you do kind of run out again, and you stood around going, It's actually made it... I'll be honest with you. This made a real increase in challenge in actually getting the artifact. On the alpha right now, I can't, although I have access to all 3 specs, I can't respec and then go and play with it, because you don't get the artifact weapon. You have to delete the character and re-roll. So I've been doing a lot of... That's why my DK is still 100, although I put loads of time into Blood, loads of time into Frost, and loads of time into Unholy, because I keep having to delete him and start again. Very, very annoying, but I'm sure that'll work itself out eventually. Profane Pathogens cause all your Virulent Plague effects within 100 yards to instantly erupt. I was hoping this would consume all the damage. I had huge hopes for Profane Pathogens. I hope this would actually pull a huge pack, use a Virulent Plague to spread it to everything, and then detonate them all, and then have to reapply Virulent Plague, is it? I believe it's Virulent Plague. It would be there. Yeah, Virulent Plague. But that's not how it works, actually. It just detonates them for some damage. Not a great deal. It's pretty good, but not amazing. It didn't kill any weak targets or anything like that. And the plague remained afterwards. I would like to see that buffed, because that's a 1 minute cooldown. It should do something pretty cool for that. Monstrous Rampage. Your ghoul gains the ability Gnaw. So we know what Gnaw is, but apparently Gnaw, it's not yet implemented. I would have thought Gnaw would have been one of the easier ones, but there you go. Spell Eater. It actually reduces your spell damage by 20% before your AMS actually starts absorbing the damage. So that's cool. Asphyxiate is not really working at the moment, which is a bit of a bummer. These are all spells that you'd think would be dead easy, but it's not working. Oh, God. Let me have some rest, man. Shadow Infusion. This is really interesting because with Shadow Infusion, you can keep Timmy buffed all the time, which is really interesting. I was surprised to see this, but yeah. So if I use Timmy there, Dark Transform him, and start Shadow Infusing. Look at the cooldown on Timmy. Look how quickly he comes back. You see this already? And when you're actually in combat and stuff and doing things, you can bring him back really, really quickly. There you go, I've got it again. And there, so he actually stays Dark Transformed. So that's quite cool. A little thing to micromanage there if you want to and keep a bit nice, powerful pet. I want to see how that works with Sludge Belcher, so you can get some cool synergy there. Potentially, but again, it's not in the game, so I can't do it. Vile Malady. Death Coil does 30% additional damage over 3 seconds, so like a little dot. It's kind of boring, actually. I mean, you tend to be chaining Death Coils depending on your setup. Necrosis. Death Coil has a 25% chance to cause Virulent Plague to erupt, which is the similar thing to Profane Pathogens. Dark Arbiter, very cool idea. Replaces your Gargoyle and you get a Valkyr instead. Nice! Not in the game yet, but, you know, there you go. The Valkyr grows more powerful as you spend runic power, and its attacks will burst your festering wounds. So generate as much runic as possible. So that is pretty good. Generate as much runic and spam out some Death Coils and spend a lot of runic. Nice. Defile's there, and of course Soul Reaper is back as an extra ability, not as an execute. So that is the general idea with Unholy. Can't really get a good feel for it whatsoever right now, so I'm not going to waste your time and mine and say, well, it plays like this, because we just don't know. We haven't got any idea whatsoever. And it's the same with Frost. Frost plays as it does on live, pretty much, but you don't generate any runes, so you very quickly run out of steam. No matter what talent setup I came up with Frost, it was just dead in the water in most occasions, so that's unfortunate. Anyway, that's the general idea for these things. Our artifact skill, which is Apocalypse, in all caps, of course. You channel the power of Pestilence, dealing 70,000 damage and applying 3 stacks of Festering Wounds. The best thing about this is that you look like He-Man when you do it. You ready? Rah! He-Man! As you can see, the damage isn't really there. It's supposed to do 70,000, but it does 24. So it's got a ways to go before that thing's working, unfortunately. Let's take a look at our artifact talents. What do we get? Double Doom. Sudden Doom grants you 2 free Death Coils. Very cool. I would really like this Dark Transformation because of Sudden Doom. Or Double Doom, I should say. Double Doom Shadow Fusion. This reduction, unless the cooldown is... so it's like 4 seconds instead of 8 seconds. That would be nice with Double Doom or something like that. Or maybe if you refresh Timmy just before it runs out, so he's actually Timmied again, like double Timmied, you could buff him in some way. That would be nice. The Shambler, your attacks have a chance to summon a super zombie that shambles forward and explodes. Nothing really to see there. You guys know what that is. And, of course, Flagellation. Death Coil applies a debuff that increases Scourge Strike damage by 50%, which is probably where we're going to be going straight away, depending on how powerful these are. But it's likelihood we were moving down there, yeah? So those are the kind of things. They're very passive. We did get another passive that comes with here, which is your attacks have a chance to summon a member of your Army of the Dead. Not an entire Army of the Dead, as was earlier speculated. A member of the Army of the Dead will start shambling towards. And it spawns it like you're casting Army of the Dead. I'm not sure if I can get it to generate. It usually happens every time. Every single time I've casted Outbreak, it's occurred. So let's just do some damage and see what happens. Let's see if I can show you the animation. I think I did it earlier in the video as well, but we'll have a quick look, see if we can get it. Again, this plays like really slowly compared to what it should do. As you can see, I'm just waiting on runes. Come on. Let me play. You're not going to do it for me, are you? You suck, game. This is working, it's just... Oh, an eruption. Nothing. Nothing. It does occur earlier in the video, you'll see it. He, like, raises his arm like the He-Man style. It's as if you're casting Army of the Dead. There you go. There it is. But it's just the one member. It's just the one member. Poor soul. We'll hang about and chill. So that's what's going on right now with Unholy. I wish I could show you more. I was so sad. I was really looking forward to playing, like, Frost for a few hours and then Unholy for a few hours, but... Look at this. The detonation sound is so ridiculous. But yeah, they're not working. So we're going to have to wait till January, team. Bit of a fucking bummer. Bit of a fucking bummer. But there you go. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great Christmas break. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.